Authenticity over approval. The freedom of being unapologetically you. Written and published by MSC Boost. Chapter 1. Unraveling the approval trap. It's easy to find ourselves caught in the relentless pursuit of approval from others. We strive to meet expectations, conform to societal norms, and present a carefully curated version of ourselves to the world, all in the hopes of gaining acceptance and avoiding rejection. However, this constant seeking of approval comes at a steep price: the suppression of our authentic selves and the erosion of our inner peace and happiness. The approval trap is a sneaky one, as it often masquerades as a path to success and fulfillment. We're bombarded with messages that tell us we need to be a certain way, achieve specific milestones, or possess particular qualities to be worthy of love and respect. Social media amplifies this pressure, presenting us with an endless stream of seemingly perfect lives and accomplishments, fueling our fear of not measuring up. Before we know it, we find ourselves trapped in a cycle of people-pleasing, constantly adjusting our behaviors and sacrificing our true desires to gain the approval of others. But here's the truth: seeking external validation is a bottomless pit that can never be fully satisfied. No matter how much approval we receive, there will always be someone or something that leaves us feeling inadequate. When we tie our self-worth to the opinions of others, we give away our power and allow our happiness to be dictated by external factors beyond our control. We become disconnected from our authentic selves, suppressing our unique qualities, passions, and values in favor of fitting into a mold that doesn't truly reflect who we are. The cost of living for approval is high. It leads to chronic stress, anxiety, and a nagging sense of never being enough. We become afraid to take risks, express our true opinions, or pursue our dreams, fearing the disapproval or judgment of others. This fear keeps us stuck in unfulfilling relationships, careers, and lifestyles, as we prioritize the expectations of others over our own happiness and well-being. Over time, this constant suppression of our authentic selves can lead to feelings of resentment, emptiness, and a loss of identity. But here's the good news: breaking free from the approval trap is possible. It starts with recognizing the patterns and beliefs that keep us trapped in the cycle of seeking validation. By becoming aware of the ways in which we prioritize external approval over our own needs and desires, we can begin to make conscious choices to prioritize our authenticity instead. This shift towards authenticity requires courage and a willingness to embrace vulnerability. It means learning to trust our own instincts, values, and desires, even when they don't align with societal expectations or the opinions of others. It involves developing a strong sense of self-worth that is rooted in our inherent value as human beings, rather than in the fleeting approval of others. Cultivating authenticity also means learning to set healthy boundaries and say no to requests or expectations that don't align with our values or well-being. It requires developing the resilience to face disapproval or rejection, knowing that staying true to ourselves is more important than pleasing everyone around us. Embracing authenticity is a lifelong journey, and it's not always easy. There will be moments of discomfort, fear, and doubt as we navigate the uncharted territory of living life on our own terms. But the rewards of living authentically are immeasurable: a deep sense of peace, fulfillment, and the freedom to be unapologetically ourselves. Throughout this book, we'll explore practical strategies and exercises for breaking free from the approval trap and cultivating a life of authenticity. We'll delve into the root causes of our need for validation, develop tools for silencing our inner critic, and learn to express ourselves with confidence and courage. Remember, you are worthy and deserving of love, respect, and happiness, simply by virtue of being yourself. Your unique qualities, passion, and perspectives are what make you valuable and irreplaceable. By choosing authenticity over approval, you reclaim your power and embark on a transformative journey towards true self-acceptance and personal freedom. Chapter 2. Cultivating self-awareness. The foundation of living an authentic life lies in developing a deep understanding of oneself. Self-awareness is the key that unlocks the door to personal growth, empowerment, and the courage to be unapologetically true to who you are. It involves taking an honest look at your thoughts, emotions, values, strengths, and weaknesses, and using that knowledge to make conscious choices that align with your authentic self. Many of us go through life on autopilot, reacting to external circumstances and the expectations of others without taking the time to reflect on what truly matters to us. We get caught up in the hustle and bustle of daily life, losing touch with our inner selves and the unique qualities that make us who we are. This lack of self-awareness can lead to a sense of disconnection, dissatisfaction, and a nagging feeling that something is missing in our lives. Cultivating self-awareness requires intentional effort and a willingness to look within. It means carving out time for self-reflection, asking yourself tough questions, and being open to the insights that emerge. A powerful tool for developing self-awareness is journaling. By regularly putting pen to paper and exploring your thoughts and feelings, you create a space for self-discovery and gain clarity on what truly matters to you. When journaling, ask yourself questions that prompt introspection. What are the values that guide my decisions? What brings me joy and fulfillment? What are my strengths, and how can I leverage them? What are the limiting beliefs or fears that hold me back? By engaging in this self-inquiry, you start to uncover the authentic self that may have been buried beneath layers of societal conditioning and external expectations. Another effective way to cultivate self-awareness is through mindfulness practices such as meditation or yoga. These practices help you develop a greater sense of presence and attunement to your inner world. By observing your thoughts and emotions without judgment, you gain insight into the patterns and habits that shape your experience of life. Mindfulness allows you to create space between your true self and the reactive, approval-seeking self, enabling you to make choices that are more aligned with your authentic desires and values. Seeking feedback from trusted friends, family members, or a therapist can also be a valuable tool for developing self-awareness. Sometimes we have blind spots or areas of ourselves that we struggle to see clearly. By inviting others to share their perspectives on our strengths, challenges, and patterns of behavior, we gain a more well-rounded understanding of ourselves. It's important to approach this feedback with an open mind and a willingness to learn and grow, rather than defensiveness or self-judgment. As you deepen your self-awareness, you may discover aspects of yourself that you've been suppressing or hiding in order to gain approval from others. Perhaps you have a passion or talent that you've been afraid to pursue because it doesn't fit with societal expectations. Or maybe you've been conforming to certain behaviors or beliefs that don't truly resonate with who you are. Recognizing these areas of inauthenticity is a crucial step in reclaiming your true self. It's important to approach the process of self-discovery with compassion and patience. Unlearning patterns of approval seeking and embracing your authentic self is a gradual process that requires gentleness and self-acceptance. There may be moments of discomfort or fear as you confront aspects of yourself that you've been hiding or suppressing. But remember that every step towards self-awareness is a step towards liberation and the freedom to be unapologetically you. Cultivating self-awareness is an ongoing journey that requires consistent effort and commitment. It's a practice of continually checking in with yourself, asking honest questions, and making choices that align with your true values and desires. As you deepen your self-understanding, you'll find that you become more resilient in the face of external pressures and more confident in expressing your authentic self to the world. The rewards of self-awareness are immeasurable. When you have a clear sense of who you are and what matters to you, you're able to make decisions that honor your authenticity and lead to greater fulfillment and joy. You're less likely to get caught up in the approval trap and more likely to pursue a life that truly reflects your unique gifts and passions. Self-awareness is the foundation upon which a life of authenticity is built. By taking the time to explore your inner world, you gain the clarity and courage needed to shed the expectations of others and embrace the freedom of being unapologetically you. Trust in the wisdom and guidance that lies within, and allow your authentic self to shine forth with confidence and purpose. Chapter 3. Silencing the inner critic. The inner critic, that nagging voice inside our heads that constantly points out our flaws, mistakes, and shortcomings. It's the voice that tells us we're not good enough, smart enough, or worthy enough to be our authentic selves. For many of us, the inner critic has become such a familiar presence that we don't even question its validity. We allow it to dictate our thoughts, emotions, and actions, holding us back from embracing our true selves and living a life of authenticity. The inner critic often stems from early experiences and messages we received from family, peers, or society at large. We internalize these messages and create a narrative that reinforces our fears and doubts. Over time, this narrative becomes so ingrained that we start to believe it as truth, even when evidence suggests otherwise. The impact of the inner critic on our lives can be profound. It can lead to chronic self-doubt, anxiety, and a fear of failure that prevents us from taking risks and pursuing our dreams. We become so focused on avoiding criticism and seeking approval that we lose sight of our own desires and values. The inner critic keeps us trapped in a cycle of self-sabotage, convincing us that we're not capable of creating the life we truly want. Breaking free from the grip of the inner critic requires a conscious effort to challenge and reframe its messages. A powerful technique for silencing the inner critic is to practice self-compassion. Self-compassion involves treating ourselves with the same kindness, understanding, and support that we would offer to a dear friend. When the inner critic starts to speak, we can counter its negative messages with words of encouragement and understanding. For example, instead of berating ourselves for making a mistake, we can acknowledge that mistakes are a natural part of the learning process and an opportunity for growth. Instead of telling ourselves that we're not good enough, we can remind ourselves of our unique strengths and the progress we've made. By responding to the inner critic with self-compassion, we start to create a new narrative that is rooted in self-acceptance and self-love. Another effective way to silence the inner critic is to practice mindfulness. When we're caught up in the cycle of negative self-talk, we often lose sight of the present moment and become trapped in a spiral of worry and self-doubt. By bringing our attention back to the present through mindfulness practices, such as deep breathing or focusing on our senses, we create space between ourselves and the inner critic's messages. In this space, we can observe the inner critic's thoughts without getting caught up in them. We can recognize that these thoughts are just that, thoughts, not facts. By witnessing the inner critic's messages with detachment, we start to loosen their grip on our minds and emotions. Over time, we can learn to disengage from the inner critic's negative chatter and focus on the present moment with greater clarity and peace. Challenging the inner critic also involves recognizing and reframing cognitive distortions, patterns of thinking that are based on false assumptions or exaggerations. Common cognitive distortions include all-or-nothing thinking, overgeneralization, and catastrophizing. For example, the inner critic may tell us that if we fail at one task, we're a complete failure in life. Or it may convince us that a single negative comment from someone means that everyone dislikes us. By learning to identify these cognitive distortions, we can start to challenge them with more realistic and balanced thoughts. We can ask ourselves questions like, is this thought based on facts or assumptions? Or, what evidence do I have to support this belief? By questioning the validity of the inner critic's messages, we start to break down its power and create space for more self-supportive thoughts. Silencing the inner critic is an ongoing practice that requires patience and persistence. It's not about eliminating negative thoughts altogether, but rather about developing the skills to recognize and reframe them in a way that supports our authentic self. With consistent effort, we can learn to cultivate a more compassionate and supportive inner voice that encourages us to embrace our true selves and pursue a life of authenticity. The benefits of silencing the inner critic are immeasurable. When we're no longer held back by self-doubt and fear of failure, we're free to take bold action towards our goals and dreams. We're able to express ourselves with greater confidence and ease, knowing that our worth is not dependent on external validation or perfection. We're able to build more authentic relationships based on vulnerability and self-acceptance, rather than the need for approval. Silencing the inner critic is a crucial step in the journey towards authenticity. By learning to challenge negative self-talk, practice self-compassion, and cultivate mindfulness, we create the inner space needed to embrace our true selves and live a life that is unapologetically our own. With each small victory over the inner critic, we gain the courage and resilience needed to face life's challenges with grace and self-assurance. Remember, the inner critic's messages are not the truth of who you are. They are merely thoughts and beliefs that can be challenged and reframed. By learning to silence the inner critic and tune into your authentic voice, you open the door to a life of greater joy, fulfillment, and self-acceptance. Trust in your inherent worth and the wisdom of your true self, and watch as the inner critic's power begins to fade away. Chapter 4. Boundaries and Self-Respect. Boundaries, the invisible lines we draw around ourselves to protect our time, energy, and well-being. They are the foundation of self-respect and a crucial component of living an authentic life. When we have clear, healthy boundaries, we communicate to ourselves and others that our needs and desires matter. We create the space necessary to prioritize our own growth, happiness, and fulfillment, rather than constantly sacrificing ourselves for the sake of others' approval or expectations. Many of us struggle with setting and maintaining boundaries, often because we fear the consequences of saying no or disappointing others. We may have grown up in environments where our boundaries were consistently violated, or where we were taught that putting others' needs before our own was a sign of love and kindness. As a result, we develop a pattern of people-pleasing, taking on more than we can handle, and silencing our own voices in the process. The cost of weak boundaries is high. When we constantly say yes to others' demands and expectations, we leave little room for our own self-care and personal growth. We become resentful, burnt out, and disconnected from our authentic selves. We may find ourselves in one-sided relationships where we give far more than we receive, or in situations that compromise our values and well-being. Learning to set and maintain healthy boundaries is a critical skill in the journey towards authenticity. It involves getting clear on our own needs, desires, and limits, and communicating them assertively to others. This can be challenging, especially if we're not used to putting ourselves first, or if we fear conflict or rejection. However, the more we practice setting boundaries, the more natural and empowering it becomes. The first step in setting healthy boundaries is to get clear on what you need and want. This requires a deep level of self-awareness and honesty. Take some time to reflect on the areas of your life where you feel overextended, resentful, or unfulfilled. Ask yourself, what do I need more of in my life? What do I need less of? What are my non-negotiables, the things I'm unwilling to compromise on? Once you have a clearer sense of your needs and desires, start practicing communicating them assertively. This means expressing yourself clearly, calmly, and respectfully, without apologizing or over-explaining. For example, instead of saying, "I'm sorry, I know you really need my help, but I'm just so overwhelmed right now," try saying, "I appreciate you reaching out, but I'm not able to take on any additional commitments at this time." Setting boundaries also involves learning to say no when something doesn't align with your values, goals, or capacity. This can be particularly challenging if you're used to being the go-to person for everyone's needs, or if you pride yourself on being reliable and helpful. However, saying no is a critical act of self-care and self-respect. It communicates to yourself and others that your time and energy are valuable, and that you have the right to prioritize your own well-being. When saying no, it's important to be clear, concise, and unapologetic. Avoid over-explaining or justifying your decision, as this can invite pushback or negotiation. Simply state your boundary firmly and kindly, and trust that others will respect it. If someone responds with anger, guilt, or manipulation, remember that their reaction is not your responsibility. You have the right to set limits and take care of yourself, regardless of how others may feel about it. Maintaining healthy boundaries also involves learning to communicate your expectations and deal with violations when they occur. This means being proactive in setting limits and following through with consequences when those limits are crossed. For example, if you have a friend who consistently cancels plans at the last minute, you might say, "I value our friendship, but I need you to respect my time. If you cancel on me again, I'll need to take a step back from making plans with you." Enforcing boundaries can be uncomfortable, especially if we're not used to standing up for ourselves. However, it's an essential act of self-respect and self-preservation. When we allow others to consistently violate our boundaries, we send the message that our needs and desires are not important. Over time, this erodes our self-worth and makes it harder to live authentically. The benefits of healthy boundaries are immeasurable. When we have clear limits and communicate them assertively, we create the space necessary to thrive and grow. We attract relationships and opportunities that align with our values and goals, rather than constantly compromising ourselves for others' approval. We have more time and energy to invest in our own self-care, passions, and personal development. Healthy boundaries also lead to more authentic and fulfilling relationships. When we're clear about our needs and expectations, we give others the opportunity to show up for us in meaningful ways. We create relationships based on mutual respect, trust, and support, rather than one-sided sacrifice or resentment. Setting and maintaining boundaries is a lifelong practice that requires courage, self-awareness, and commitment. There will be moments of discomfort and resistance as we learn to assert ourselves and communicate our needs. However, the more we practice setting boundaries, the more empowered and authentic we become. Start small and celebrate each act of self-respect and self-care. Remember that your needs and desires matter, and that you have the right to prioritize your own well-being. With time and practice, setting boundaries will become a natural and integral part of living an authentic life. Boundaries are not selfish or unkind, they are a necessary act of self-love and self-preservation. By learning to set and maintain healthy boundaries, you create the foundation necessary to thrive and live a life that is truly your own. Trust in your own worth and the importance of your needs, and watch as your relationships and sense of self flourish in the process. Chapter 5. The Power of Vulnerability. Vulnerability, the very word, can evoke feelings of fear, uncertainty, and discomfort. In a society that often equates vulnerability with weakness, it's no wonder that so many of us shy away from revealing our true selves to others. We put up walls, don masks, and present carefully curated versions of ourselves to the world, all in an effort to protect ourselves from judgment, rejection, or hurt. However, what if we were to reframe vulnerability not as a weakness, but as a strength? What if we were to see it as the key to unlocking deeper connections, personal growth, and a more authentic way of being in the world? The truth is, vulnerability is a fundamental aspect of the human experience. It's the willingness to show up and be seen, even when there are no guarantees. It's the courage to share our struggles, fears, and imperfections with others, trusting that we will be met with empathy and understanding. It's the ability to take emotional risks and lean into uncertainty, knowing that growth and transformation often lie on the other side of discomfort. When we embrace vulnerability, we create the conditions for genuine connection and belonging. We allow others to see us as we truly are: flawed, complex, and wholly human. We give them permission to do the same, fostering relationships based on authenticity, trust, and mutual support. Think about the people in your life who you feel most connected to. Chances are, they are the ones who have been willing to share their vulnerabilities with you, their fears, their struggles, their hopes, and their dreams. They are the ones who have shown up fully and authentically, inviting you to do the same. Vulnerability is also a catalyst for personal growth and self-discovery. When we're willing to step outside our comfort zones and take emotional risks, we expand our capacity for resilience, empathy, and self-awareness. We learn to navigate challenges with greater courage and self-compassion, knowing that setbacks and failures are simply opportunities for learning and growth. However, embracing vulnerability is not always easy. It requires a willingness to confront our own fears and insecurities, and to challenge the stories we tell ourselves about what it means to be strong, successful, or worthy. It means letting go of the need for control and perfection, and learning to trust in the inherent value of our authentic selves. One way to cultivate vulnerability is to practice self-disclosure. Start by sharing small, low-risk truths about yourself with others. This could be as simple as admitting when you're feeling anxious or overwhelmed, or sharing a personal story that reveals something about your values or beliefs. As you begin to experience the rewards of vulnerability, deeper connections, increased self-awareness, and a greater sense of authenticity, you may find yourself more willing to take bigger emotional risks over time. Another way to embrace vulnerability is to practice self-compassion. When we're kind and understanding towards ourselves, we create a safe inner space to explore our own vulnerabilities without fear of judgment or criticism. We learn to treat ourselves with the same care and respect that we would offer to a beloved friend, acknowledging our own humanity and inherent worth. It's also important to surround yourself with people who value and support vulnerability. Seek out relationships with individuals who are willing to show up authentically and create a safe space for emotional risk-taking. Be willing to set boundaries with those who consistently dismiss or exploit vulnerability, understanding that not everyone will be able to meet you in this tender place. Embracing vulnerability is a lifelong practice that requires courage, self-awareness, and a willingness to lean into discomfort. There will be moments when the fear of rejection or judgment feels overwhelming, and the temptation to retreat into old patterns of self-protection is strong. However, the more we practice vulnerability, the more resilient and empowered we become. The rewards of vulnerability are immeasurable. When we have the courage to show up fully and authentically, we create the conditions for deeper intimacy, self-discovery, and personal transformation. We attract people and experiences that align with our true selves, and we develop a greater capacity for empathy, compassion, and connection. Vulnerability is not a weakness, it is a strength that lies at the heart of what it means to be human. By learning to embrace our own vulnerabilities and create safe spaces for others to do the same, we tap into a powerful source of healing, growth, and authentic connection. Trust in the transformative power of vulnerability, and watch as your relationships, sense of self, and capacity for joy expand in ways you never thought possible. Remember, the greatest rewards often lie on the other side of fear. All it takes is the courage to take that first step. Chapter 6. Navigating social pressures. In the pursuit of authenticity, we often find ourselves faced with a formidable obstacle: the pressure to conform to societal expectations and norms. From a young age, we are bombarded with messages about who we should be, how we should behave, and what we should value. We are told to fit in, to follow the crowd, and to suppress our unique qualities in favor of blending in with the majority. These social pressures can take many forms, from the subtle influences of media and advertising to the overt expectations of family, friends, and colleagues. We may feel pressure to pursue certain careers, maintain certain appearances, or subscribe to certain beliefs, even when they don't align with our authentic selves. The cost of conformity can be high. When we constantly mold ourselves to fit the expectations of others, we lose touch with our own desires, values, and sense of purpose. We may find ourselves living lives that feel unfulfilling or inauthentic, always chasing the approval of others rather than honoring our own truth. However, the path to authenticity is not about rejecting all social norms or expectations. Rather, it's about developing the self-awareness and courage to discern which expectations align with our true selves and which ones don't. It's about learning to navigate social pressures with integrity, staying true to ourselves while also respecting the needs and boundaries of others. One key to navigating social pressures is to develop a strong sense of self. This means taking the time to explore your own values, beliefs, and desires, and gaining clarity on what truly matters to you. The more grounded you are in your own sense of self, the easier it becomes to resist the pull of external expectations and stay true to your authentic path. This self-exploration can take many forms, from journaling and meditation to therapy and self-reflection. The goal is to cultivate a deep understanding of who you are and what you stand for, independent of the opinions and expectations of others. Another important strategy is to surround yourself with people who support and celebrate your authenticity. Seek out relationships with individuals who encourage you to be yourself, even when that means going against the grain. Build a community of like-minded people who share your values and respect your unique qualities. At the same time, it's important to learn how to communicate your authenticity to others in a way that is respectful and effective. This means setting clear boundaries around your time, energy, and values, and learning to say no to requests or expectations that don't align with your authentic self. When communicating your boundaries, it's important to do so with kindness and respect. Avoid blame or judgment, and instead focus on expressing your own needs and desires clearly and directly. For example, instead of saying, "I can't believe you would ask me to do that," try saying, "I appreciate your request, but that doesn't align with my values or priorities right now." It's also important to be willing to have difficult conversations and stand up for your authenticity, even in the face of resistance or pushback. This may mean having honest discussions with family members about your life choices, or advocating for yourself in the workplace when your values or boundaries are being challenged. Remember that navigating social pressures is a lifelong journey, and there will be moments of discomfort and uncertainty along the way. There may be times when you feel the pull to conform, or the fear of rejection when you choose to stand out. However, the more you practice staying true to yourself, the more resilient and empowered you become. The rewards of authenticity are immeasurable. When you have the courage to be yourself, even in the face of social pressures, you create a life that is rich with meaning, purpose, and fulfillment. You attract people and opportunities that align with your true self, and you develop a deep sense of trust in your own intuition and wisdom. Navigating social pressures requires courage, self-awareness, and a willingness to sometimes swim against the current. However, the freedom and joy that come from living an authentic life are well worth the effort. Start small and celebrate each moment of self-expression and boundary setting. Surround yourself with supportive people and be willing to let go of relationships or situations that consistently pressure you to be someone you're not. Above all, trust in the value of your unique self. Your authenticity is a gift to the world, and the more you let it shine, the more you inspire others to do the same. By learning to navigate social pressures with integrity and grace, you become a beacon of hope and courage for all those seeking to live a life of authenticity and purpose. Chapter 7. Authentic Self-Expression. The journey towards authenticity is not complete without the courage to express your true self to the world. Authentic self-expression is the act of sharing your unique thoughts, feelings, and creative impulses with others, without fear of judgment or rejection. It's the ability to communicate your authentic self through your words, actions, and creations, inviting others to see and appreciate the real you. For many of us, authentic self-expression can feel risky or vulnerable. We may fear that our true selves will be misunderstood, criticized, or rejected by others. We may have internalized messages from society or our upbringing that certain parts of ourselves are unacceptable or unworthy of expression. However, the cost of suppressing our authentic self-expression is high. When we constantly censor ourselves or hide our true nature from others, we create a sense of disconnection and inauthenticity that can lead to feelings of anxiety, depression, and unfulfillment. We may find ourselves living a life that feels small, confined, and devoid of passion or purpose. The key to unlocking authentic self-expression is to cultivate a deep sense of self-acceptance and self-love. When we truly accept and appreciate ourselves, flaws and all, We create a foundation of inner security that allows us to express ourselves freely and confidently. This self-acceptance can be cultivated through practices like self-compassion, mindfulness, and positive self-talk. It involves learning to treat ourselves with kindness and understanding, even in the face of our own mistakes or imperfections. It means developing a sense of inner wholeness that is not dependent on external validation or approval. As we deepen our self-acceptance, we naturally begin to express ourselves more authentically in the world. We may feel called to share our unique perspectives, talents, and creations with others, without worrying about how they will be received. We may find ourselves speaking up more often, setting boundaries more clearly, and pursuing our passions more fearlessly. One powerful way to cultivate authentic self-expression is through creative pursuits. Engaging in activities like writing, art, music, or dance can be a way to tap into our authentic selves and share them with the world. When we create from a place of authenticity, we invite others to connect with us on a deeper level and to see the beauty and value in our unique expression. It's important to remember that authentic self-expression does not mean sharing every single thought or feeling with the world. It's about discernment, learning to share our authentic selves in ways that feel safe, appropriate, and aligned with our values and boundaries. This may mean setting clear intentions around our self-expression and being mindful of the impact our words and actions have on others. It may involve learning to communicate our needs and desires clearly and directly, while also being open to feedback and dialogue. Authentic self-expression also requires a willingness to be vulnerable and to take emotional risks. When we share our true selves with others, we open ourselves up to the possibility of rejection or misunderstanding. However, we also create the opportunity for deeper connection, intimacy, and belonging. The more we practice authentic self-expression, the more we attract people and situations that resonate with our true selves. We may find ourselves surrounded by a community of like-minded individuals who appreciate and celebrate our unique qualities and contributions. At the same time, authentic self-expression can also be a catalyst for personal and collective transformation. When we have the courage to show up fully and authentically in the world, we inspire others to do the same. We create a ripple effect of authenticity and courage that can lead to positive change and growth. Authentic self-expression is a lifelong journey that requires ongoing commitment and practice. There may be moments when we feel the pull to hide or suppress parts of ourselves, out of fear or self-doubt. However, the more we practice showing up authentically, the more natural and empowering it becomes. The rewards of authentic self-expression are immeasurable. When we have the courage to share our true selves with the world, we tap into a deep sense of purpose, creativity, and joy. We create lives that feel rich with meaning and connection, and we inspire others to do the same. Start small and celebrate each moment of authentic self-expression, no matter how big or small. Surround yourself with people and environments that support and celebrate your unique voice and contributions. Above all, trust in the value and beauty of your authentic self. Your authentic self-expression is a gift to the world, and the more you let it shine, the more you create a world that is vibrant, diverse, and alive with possibility. By learning to express yourself authentically and courageously, you become a beacon of hope and inspiration for all those seeking to live a life of purpose, creativity, and joy. Chapter 8. Building Authentic Relationships. Authenticity is not a solo endeavor, it is deeply intertwined with the quality and depth of our relationships. When we commit to living authentically, we naturally seek out connections that honor and reflect our true selves. We attract people who appreciate and celebrate our unique qualities, and who inspire us to show up fully and honestly in our interactions. Building authentic relationships requires a foundation of trust, vulnerability, and mutual respect. It means creating a safe space for both parties to express themselves openly and honestly, without fear of judgment or rejection. In authentic relationships, both individuals feel seen, heard, and valued for who they truly are. However, cultivating authentic relationships is not always easy. It requires a willingness to let go of superficial or transactional connections in favor of deeper, more meaningful ones. It means being discerning about the people we allow into our inner circle and setting clear boundaries around our time, energy, and emotional availability. One key to building authentic relationships is to lead with vulnerability. When we have the courage to share our true thoughts, feelings, and experiences with others, we create an invitation for them to do the same. We signal that we value honesty and depth in our connections, and that we are willing to show up fully and authentically ourselves. This vulnerability can feel risky, especially if we have experienced betrayal or rejection in the past. However, the rewards of authentic connection are well worth the risk. When we open ourselves up to others in a genuine way, we create the opportunity for profound intimacy, growth, and healing. Another important aspect of building authentic relationships is to practice active listening and empathy. In authentic connections, both parties feel truly seen and understood by the other. This requires a willingness to set aside our own agendas and judgments, and to truly listen to the other person's perspective and experience. Active listening involves giving the other person our full attention, without interrupting or planning our response. It means asking curious questions, reflecting back what we have heard, and seeking to understand the deeper emotions and needs beneath the surface. Empathy, on the other hand, is the ability to put ourselves in the other person's shoes and to feel with them. It means allowing ourselves to be touched and moved by their experience, without trying to fix or change it. When we practice empathy in our relationships, we create a sense of safety and connection that allows both parties to be fully themselves. Building authentic relationships also requires a commitment to honesty and integrity. In authentic connections, both individuals feel safe to express their true thoughts, feelings, and needs without fear of deception or manipulation. This means being willing to have difficult conversations, to own our mistakes and shortcomings, and to apologize when necessary. Honesty in relationships does not mean brutal or uncaring candor. Rather, it means speaking the truth with kindness and respect, while also being open to feedback and growth. It means creating a culture of transparency and accountability, where both parties feel safe to be vulnerable and authentic with each other. Cultivating authentic relationships also means being willing to let go of connections that no longer serve us. As we grow and evolve on our authentic path, we may find that certain relationships no longer align with our values or support our growth. This can be a challenging and painful process, but it is essential for our own well-being and authenticity. Letting go of inauthentic relationships does not mean judging or condemning the other person. Rather, it means honoring our own needs and boundaries, and trusting that the universe will bring us the connections that are truly meant for us. As we build authentic relationships based on trust, vulnerability, and mutual respect, we create a powerful support system for our own growth and evolution. We surround ourselves with people who challenge us to be our best selves, who celebrate our successes, and who hold us accountable to our own values and goals. The benefits of authentic relationships are profound. When we feel truly seen, heard, and valued by others, we develop a deeper sense of self-worth and self-acceptance. We feel more confident and empowered to show up authentically in the world, knowing that we have a community of support behind us. Authentic relationships also provide a powerful mirror for our own growth and evolution. Through the reflections and feedback of others, we gain valuable insights into our own patterns, blind spots, and areas for growth. We learn to see ourselves more clearly and compassionately, and to make choices that align with our deepest values and desires. Building authentic relationships is a lifelong journey that requires ongoing commitment and practice. There may be moments of discomfort, vulnerability, and even heartbreak along the way. However, the rewards of authentic connection are immeasurable, a deep sense of belonging, purpose, and joy that comes from being truly seen and loved for who we are. The key is to start small and to focus on the quality of our connections rather than the quantity. Seek out people who share your values and who inspire you to be your best self. Practice vulnerability, empathy, and honesty in your interactions, and trust that the right relationships will unfold in perfect timing. Above all, remember that authentic relationships are a reflection of your own authenticity and self-love. The more you cultivate a deep sense of self-acceptance and self-worth, the more you will attract people who truly see and appreciate your unique gifts and qualities. By building authentic relationships based on trust, respect, and vulnerability, you create a powerful foundation for a life of purpose, connection, and joy. You surround yourself with people who lift you up, challenge you to grow, and celebrate your authentic self. And in turn, you become a beacon of authenticity and love for others, inspiring them to show up fully and honestly in their own lives and relationships. Chapter 9. Redefining Success and Happiness. In a society that often equates success with external achievements and material possessions, it's easy to lose sight of what truly matters. We may find ourselves chasing after goals that don't align with our authentic values and desires, or measuring our worth by standards that leave us feeling hollow and unfulfilled. The pursuit of authenticity invites us to redefine success and happiness on our own terms. It means letting go of external expectations and societal pressures, and instead tuning into our own inner wisdom and desires. It means creating a life that feels true to who we are, rather than one that simply looks good on paper. This process of redefinition requires a willingness to question the status quo and to challenge the beliefs and assumptions that have shaped our lives thus far. It means taking an honest look at the goals and aspirations we've been pursuing and asking ourselves whether they truly resonate with our authentic selves. For many of us, this can be an uncomfortable and even painful process. We may have invested years of our lives into pursuing a certain career path or lifestyle, only to realize that it doesn't bring us the fulfillment or joy we had hoped for. We may feel a sense of guilt or shame around letting go of these goals, or fear the uncertainty and discomfort that comes with charting a new course. However, the rewards of redefining success and happiness are immeasurable. When we align our lives with our authentic values and desires, we tap into a deep sense of purpose and meaning that goes beyond external validation or material gain. We experience a sense of flow and ease that comes from living in harmony with our true nature, rather than constantly striving to be someone we're not. The process of redefinition starts with self-reflection and self-awareness. It means taking the time to explore our deepest values, passions, and desires, and gaining clarity on what truly matters to us. This may involve journaling, meditation, therapy, or other practices that help us connect with our inner wisdom and intuition. As we gain clarity on our authentic priorities and values, we can begin to make choices that align with them. This may mean saying no to opportunities or invitations that don't resonate with our true desires, or letting go of relationships or commitments that drain our energy and resources. It may involve taking risks or making bold changes in our lives in order to create space for what truly matters to us. Redefining success and happiness also means learning to measure our worth and well-being by internal metrics, rather than external ones. Instead of relying on praise, recognition, or material possessions to feel valuable and fulfilled, we cultivate a deep sense of self-worth and self-acceptance that comes from within. This inner sense of worth is not dependent on our achievements, appearance, or social status. It is an inherent part of who we are, and it cannot be taken away by external circumstances or other people's opinions. When we root our sense of success and happiness in this inner foundation, we become more resilient, confident, and at peace with ourselves and the world around us. Redefining success and happiness also means embracing a more holistic and balanced approach to life. Instead of prioritizing work or achievement above all else, we create space for rest, play, creativity, and connection. We recognize that our well-being and fulfillment depend on nourishing all aspects of ourselves: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. This may mean carving out time for hobbies and passions that bring us joy and inspiration, even if they don't directly contribute to our career or financial goals. It may involve prioritizing relationships and experiences that feed our soul, rather than simply networking or socializing for the sake of appearances. It may mean incorporating practices like yoga, nature walks, or creative expression into our daily routines in order to stay grounded and connected to our authentic selves. Redefining success and happiness is an ongoing journey that requires patience, self-compassion, and a willingness to experiment and learn. There may be moments of doubt, fear, or resistance along the way, as we let go of old patterns and beliefs and step into uncharted territory. However, the more we trust in our own inner wisdom and align our lives with our authentic values and desires, the more we experience a sense of joy, freedom, and purpose that is truly priceless. The key is to start small and to focus on progress rather than perfection. Celebrate each step you take towards creating a life that feels true to who you are, no matter how big or small. Surround yourself with people and resources that support and inspire you on your journey, and trust that the universe will guide you towards your highest good. Remember, your definition of success and happiness is unique to you, and it may evolve and change over time. The most important thing is to stay true to yourself and to create a life that honors your authentic needs, values, and desires. By redefining success and happiness on your own terms, you reclaim your power and agency in creating a life that truly fulfills and inspires you. You let go of external expectations and pressures, and instead tune into the wisdom and guidance of your own heart and soul. And in doing so, you become a shining example of what it means to live a life of authenticity, purpose, and joy. Chapter 10. Embodying Authenticity Daily. Authenticity is not a destination to be reached, but a way of being that permeates every aspect of our lives. It is a daily practice of aligning our thoughts, words, and actions with our deepest values, desires, and truths. When we commit to embodying authenticity on a daily basis, we create a life that feels purposeful, fulfilling, and truly our own. However, the journey of authenticity is not always a smooth or linear one. We may have moments of clarity and alignment, followed by periods of doubt, fear, or confusion. We may find ourselves slipping back into old patterns of people-pleasing, self-doubt, or inauthenticity, even as we strive to live more truthfully. The key to embodying authenticity daily is to approach the journey with self-compassion, patience, and a willingness to learn and grow. Rather than striving for perfection or beating ourselves up for our missteps, we can view each day as an opportunity to practice being more true to ourselves and others. One powerful way to embody authenticity daily is to start each morning with intention and self-reflection. Before jumping into the demands and distractions of the day, take a few moments to connect with yourself and set an intention for how you want to show up in the world. This may involve journaling, meditation, or simply taking a few deep breaths and tuning into your inner wisdom. Ask yourself questions like, what matters most to me today? How can I align my choices and actions with my authentic values and desires? What kind of energy do I want to bring to my interactions and experiences? By setting a clear intention for the day ahead, we create a powerful anchor that helps us stay true to ourselves amidst the chaos and demands of daily life. Throughout the day, practice bringing mindfulness and self-awareness to your thoughts, words, and actions. Notice when you feel aligned and authentic, and when you feel out of sync or disconnected from your true self. Pay attention to the moments when you find yourself slipping into old patterns of people-pleasing, self-doubt, or inauthenticity, and gently redirect yourself back to your intention and values. This practice of self-awareness requires a willingness to be honest with ourselves and to take responsibility for our choices and actions. It means acknowledging when we've acted out of alignment with our authentic selves and making amends or course correcting as needed. It also means celebrating and savoring the moments when we feel truly aligned and connected to our inner truth. Another key aspect of embodying authenticity daily is to cultivate a sense of presence and connection in our relationships and interactions. When we show up fully and authentically with others, we create the conditions for deeper intimacy, trust, and understanding. We allow ourselves to be seen and known for who we truly are, and we invite others to do the same. This may involve practicing active listening and empathy, as we seek to understand and connect with others on a deeper level. It may mean setting clear boundaries and communicating our needs and desires openly and honestly. It may involve letting go of the need to control or manipulate others, and instead trusting in the inherent wisdom and goodness of authentic connection. Embodying authenticity daily also means making choices that align with our values and priorities, even when it feels challenging or uncomfortable. This may involve saying no to commitments or invitations that don't resonate with our authentic selves, or speaking up for what we believe in, even when it goes against the grain. It may mean taking risks or making bold changes in our lives in order to create more space for what truly matters to us. The more we practice embodying authenticity in our daily lives, the more it becomes a natural and integral part of who we are. We develop a deeper sense of self-trust and self-confidence, knowing that we have the resilience and resourcefulness to navigate life's challenges and opportunities in a way that honors our authentic selves. We attract people and experiences that resonate with our true nature, and we create a life that feels rich with meaning, purpose, and joy. Of course, the journey of authenticity is not a solitary one. We need the support, encouragement, and inspiration of others who share our values and aspirations. Seek out communities and relationships that uplift and empower you to be your most authentic self. Surround yourself with people who celebrate your unique gifts and challenges, and who inspire you to keep growing and evolving in the direction of your dreams. Remember, authenticity is not about being perfect or having it all figured out. It is about showing up fully and honestly in each moment, and trusting in the inherent wisdom and resilience of your true self. It is about embracing the messiness, vulnerability, and beauty of the human experience, and using it as fuel for your own growth and transformation. By embodying authenticity daily, you become a powerful force for positive change in your own life and in the world around you. You inspire others to live more truthfully and courageously, and you contribute to a culture of greater authenticity, compassion, and connection. Trust in the journey, and know that every step you take towards authenticity is a step towards a life of greater freedom, fulfillment, and joy. Embrace the challenges and opportunities of each day with curiosity, self-compassion, and a willingness to learn and grow. And most importantly, never forget the inherent beauty, wisdom, and worthiness of your authentic self.